Next should be Samoa Joe.
Yep, three-way match for the AEW World Championship. Samoa Joe, current champion, defending against both Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana in the background, doing the thing. So, yes.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, it's a pretty intense match. I remember that Samoa was kind of out of a lot of it, though. So it was a lot of Strickland versus Hangman. But, Samoa's kind of that crafty kind of guy to kind of let these guys tire themselves out. I do like how Samoa did the famous thing when Strickland tried to jump off the rope. Samoa just walks away, lets him land, and that kind of thing. But yeah, one thing I like about the story a bit is that I like that both Hangman and Strickland were so into each other that it's kind of like, okay, y'all got this grudge match, but don't forget there's a big ass motherfucker over there. and Samoa Joe would come in and sock him and remind him of that. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that angle of it.
No. See, Joe should just been like, I mean, someone about to jump off the rope and he moved. I mean, why not let them be like this? Let them tire each other out and be like, okay, bam.
Yeah, I think didn't they do a thing near the end where Hangman and Strickland they did whatever and he got tired out, so Samoa just came in and grabbed. I think it was he grabbed Hangman and made him tap with the Coquina clutch and whatever.
Yeah,
and that just adds more insult to injury that Hangman lost and Strickland never even got the chance, and Strickland's just so pissed because he fucking lost the title shot they wanted so much.
And then Adam Page is all like, I got a mustache, I'm evil now.
Yeah. So you get that kind of storytelling that like he lost a chance without him even being pinned. You know what I mean? And Samoa Joe retains. Samoa Joe just walks in, kicks some ass, walks on out.
And that's why we like Samoa Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, as y'all have always pointed out, Joe is very versatile. He can usually get a good match out of anyone. He can go against all sorts of people there. And I think it's just, the match was okay, but like I said, I just like Joe. And I liked how he, yeah, of course. Anyway, and I like how, it was fake Samoa goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Go.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm not a title.
You're the champ for me.
I'm a champ now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, but anyway, I think I do like Joe's gimmick. I will always like Joe's gimmick, and I do like how he is in the ring. And I guess it is kind of some story building there, but I can't help but wonder where this goes. Because I know we probably want to get sick of the Swerve versus Adam Page thing. Personally, it was up to me. Adam Page wouldn't even be there. But, Swerve versus Adam Page, where are they going to go with this? I mean, Adam Page, he tapped out, and Swerve, lost his chance at the title, which he really, really wanted because he's never had it. And they're also making a big deal about it. So, story-wise, just what can they do, I mean, it's like they're just continuing the feud.
I think what they need to do, well, Hangman's off TV because apparently, and this is kayfabe reason, was that he attacked the ref and he got suspended. But
that's right. That's right. Forgot about the ref spots.
He started beating the shit out of the ref.
And started socking them and stuff. I was going to ask you, Jack,
beat the shit
has there
out of
been
him,
a case like that in other matches where someone actually one thing is to accidentally bop the ref, but to actually grab him and clobber him, have you done that before? Like for a regular, and I mean a regular ref, not a guest referee, Austin.
Well, I mean, I think Randy Orton did it once, but I do know that it happened in Japan. I know Suzuki did that once. And he didn't kayfabe hurt the guy. He didn't kayfabe hurt the guy. He actually hurt the guy. Suzuki did, but it was because he was in a match. He was in a match with this guy and I guess it was going on for like 30 minutes. It was a 30-minute match. Mm-hmm. It was a 30-minute match, and then it went to a time limit draw, and the guy didn't tap out. And so he got really pissed off because I guess the guy was supposed to tap out, or at least that was reports. The guy was supposed to tap out. Guy didn't tap out. So the ref called it a no time limit. It called it a time limit draw. And so the ref basically kind of screwed the ending. And so Suzuki like literally punted the dude and just beat the shit out of him.
Dang.
So yeah, Suzuki's crazy. But like I said, my point, yeah, I don't really see it that it doesn't happen very often, but it does add a lot of drama, which is good because a lot of people don't know that refs are trained to take bumps. I mean, they have to. They're not wrestlers, but they're trained to take bumps. You know, like, hey, this is how you fall. This is how you get hit. This is how you go to the side. You know, they don't teach them like, hey, you're not going to see freaking Aubrey, referee Aubrey doing a freaking 5-star frog splash or something like that. But I'm just saying, like,
But
would it be funny?
I'm sure that would make Williams' day, though.
no. I'm just saying Tony would allow it if she had wanted to.
It would be hilarious, but you're not going to see it happen on TV. But my no, I don't see it very often. Jay Briscoe famously would call Samoa Joe, and it became his backstage nickname in every promotion he's worked in, good old Joe. And it was because he was like, it's like, oh shit, man. We don't have time to do this stuff. What are we going to do? I don't know. Ask good old Joe. And then Joe would have the idea of what to do. Or Joe would basically be like, I'll fucking do it. I don't care. It's like, well, we got time. What are we going to do? I'll just go out there. I'll beat the shit out of him. Okay. Good old Joe. So he's like probably one of the most reliable wrestlers you could ever have in a company. But yeah, I thought the match was pretty solid. Again, I agree. I think the feud with Swerve and Hangman has gone on too long. It's boring at this point. I mean, when you literally cut your opponent and turn it into a freaking Slurpee machine full of blood, it's like at that point, how far do you go? Like you've gone too far already. No, let's keep it going. No, let's not. Let's stop. It's you're not Paul Heyman. You'll never be Paul Heyman. Stop trying to be Paul Heyman, because it's like they had that whole thing of like the feud with Sabu and Taz where Taz accidentally broke Sabu's neck. And then when he came back and then they booked him again, and then Sabu broke Taz's neck. And it's like, or Dean Malenko broke Taz's neck. And it's like, God, you're stupid. Like, but my point of it is like, I thought it was a pretty good match. I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was a good cooler after the last match, because the last match was like, whew, that was intense. And I think it was a good placement for it to have it here, had more pacing, had more slow down points. Where, to answer Jupi's question, where do we go with Swerve? I'll tell you where you should go with Swerve. First of all, it's obvious that, you know, Wardlow's going to go after the belt, and eventually the United Kingdom or whatever, Undisputed Kingdom or whatever the fuck they're called, they're going to go after Joe for the belt eventually till Adam Cole's back. Adam Cole's going to go after Joe, probably have the stack against him, deck stacked against him, and then take the belt off of him. Then MJF will show up, you know, yada, 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 you know, same old, same old. Mm. But I think what they should do in the meantime, keep the momentum with Swerve. He's red hot. He's popular. He's got a gimmick that everyone likes. He's freaking phenomenal in the ring. Have him take the belt off of Kingston. Have him take the Continental belt off of Kingston. And people go, no, because Kingston's really popular. But people forget, Kingston has 2 other belts. He's got 2 other belts. He's got the Strong belt and the Ring of Honor belts. Have him focus more centered around Ring of Honor. Help build that brand up. Then he could do some New Japan stuff. You know, just do some of that. Then he could come back later. Have him do that. Have Swerve have a Continental title run. Have him have a Continental title run. Run it up for a while. Maybe have him a feud with, I don't know. Pac. I don't know. No, maybe not Pac. I don't know. Someone. You could have him have a new feud with someone different, like someone he's never fought before. Someone who would be like, challenging but varying degrees of difficulty in different titles. And I think that'd be a good way to keep the momentum going with him and use him in a proper fashion. That's what I think you should do. You got to he's red hot right now. You can't put the top belt on Swerve. You got to put a belt on Swerve. It's got to be something on it, because at this point you're wasting. If you don't, if you don't use him properly now, you're missing an opportunity to bank on that momentum and get people behind him. Like imagine Swerve. Think of this. Tell me you couldn't see Swerve taking the Continental title and retooling the belt into a new design that he wanted.
Ah. And then not just
with his style, with his sleek ass style, dude, it would be so cool. I'm just saying, that's something you could do. Do something like that. You're like, whoa. I'm just saying, that's just me off the top of my head coming up with an idea with it. But as soon as here's the thing, what you do. Fans are so into him, slowly, not right away, slowly transition Nana away from it. Turn him full good guy. Because I'll get to this later, but there's a reason I say that. I'll get to this later. It goes back to my later rant at the end. Okay, go on. What do you think, Johnny? Or Panda, whoever wants to go first.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I was trying to wipe the vision of the Hangman and Swerve first match out of my brain. Sorry. Oh, my eyes. Ugh. Human Slurpee. Jesus. Anyway. But no, I do have to agree with Jack. It would be cool for them to, have them take a title from Eddie Kingston, one with that, make a custom title, have him build a name that way. That's what they should do. What they're probably going to do is just have him chase the fire truck, which is Samoa Joe, and then run a feud with him until Adam Page comes off of suspension or what have you, and then reunite their feud. But I do agree with him. They need to put some sort of title on Swerve. Swerve is definitely hot right now. He's definitely over with the fans. And it's time to push him into the spotlight. Like, him being sat at the back of the table, they don't need to do that no more. Like, it's definitely his time for this. Now, as far as the match went, I also kind of got to agree with Jupi Chan. Hangman and Strickland were fighting so much. Literally, Samoa Joe could have sat in the stands, ate some popcorn, and just chilled out until the last minute of the match. Like, that's pretty much how it was going down. But for some reason, Samoa Joe also has a tendency, in rest in peace Toriyama, of being a Super Saiyan, because it seemed like he was never in the ring, but when that count got to a 2, he would instant transmission his big ass in there and clock somebody and stop the pin. Nobody knew where the hell he came from. Like, he would literally be laying on the floor, completely dead, eyes rolled in the back of his head. 1, 2, like, otherwise, it was still a pretty decent match, but I agree with Jack. They need to go ahead and put a title on Swerve yesterday. Like, it needs to be done. But otherwise, it was still a pretty good match. I was actually surprised by Hangman clocking the ref. That's the first time I've ever seen it. Now, I remember hearing about the Suzuki incident. I never saw it. I'll probably watch it a little bit later. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever really heard of anybody kayfabe clocking a referee and not just like, accidentally bump into him or something.
Yeah, and he was like, holy shit, Hangman lost his mind. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the first time I was like, what the hell? But then he did it second time. I was like, whoa, wait.
I got my attention.
I know. I was like, wait, what? Huh? I was like, what?
Actually, you know what would be funnier? If they just had a revenge match and they had that same referee and then
Wow.
Like you said, referees, they're known to take bumps and stuff like that. But what if the referee used to be like an indie wrestler? And it'd be funny if just for revenge in the middle of one of Hangman's matches, like the referee gets hit, rolls out of the ring, and then when he goes to get back up, he pops up and does a buckshot lariat on Hangman. That would be hilarious.
Well, I don't know about that, but I would want it that it would be like some big match. It happens to be that same ref, and whenever like Hangman finally pins the guy, refs kind of what? Huh? 1, 2, what's that over there? And cost them the match because then the other guy would roll him over or whatever, and then the ref will do like a 1, 2, 3.
It would be a fast count.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that. I mean, this isn't WWE. What are you thinking? But still, like overall, it was still a fairly good match. But I definitely gotta agree. It's time for them to move on and put Swerve in a higher place. Needs to be done. Johnny?
Yeah, my first impression of the match is that I felt like it was all over the place because you have Hangman and Page versus Swerve with their rivalry and all that shit that's going on. And Samoa Joe, like, I almost felt like, damn, like they just put him there in the middle of the match, like for, whatever. But I actually liked it. But then once the match actually started, I actually liked it. Like, okay, these two guys are very heated up with their rivalry, and it's cool that the way I see it, I felt like they were both gay man, and Samoa Joe both picked them up like action figures and bumped their heads, knocked them down, and then, hey, Samoa Joe won the match. That's the way I felt the match was in a certain way.
Wasn't there a spot in the match where Samoa Joe was actually down, and rather than trying to pin him or whatever, they were still like up in each other's face?
Yes. And
you were saying they hate each other so much that they're doing it as a detrimental to the match.
Title, go for Joe here, but yeah.
So it's a good match, but I felt like there was just too much shit going on in the match. Like, it's just too much shit going on. Like, everything's in the way, too much shenanigans. And, hey, Samoa Joe's like, okay, I don't care about this whole shit you guys got going on. I'm going to win this fucking match no matter what. But I do gotta say, Adam Page has gone out of his mind beating the shit out of the referee like that, because I know that there have been matches where wrestlers might accidentally bump into the referee and they may get knocked out by accident, or sometimes they do actually kind of knock them down, but they're a little bit more tactful about that. So usually they would knock down the referee, but it's just like a one move kind of thing. Like, say you pick up a wrestler and you kind of toss him.
You do like a finisher, or like you do like a finisher on him, or like, I remember during the Attitude Era, like there have been times, I'm sure all of us have seen at least like The Rock doing the rock bottom, or Austin doing a stunner or whatever to a ref, but that was a one and done, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a spot, cool. But I think the only way that spot could have been, like him hitting him, could have been more awkward. The only way it could have been more awkward, because that's what it was, it felt uncomfortable. I think that's what it was. The only way it could have been more uncomfortable if he was elbowing the ref and you just hear him on the hot mic go, I hate you, mom. I hate you, mom. Like, you're like, is he okay? Is he okay?
And I would like to also add, and I know this is not really about the match, but what's with Hangman Adam Page? What's with his stash, man? That just looks horrible.
He's evil. You gotta become evil.
I'm gonna say, I will. You know what? To be 100% honest with you, I kind of dig on the stash solely because it does actually make him look more like a douchebag cowboy. So I kind of dig it, but I think he should go full Hogan stash. Go full Hogan stash. No, everybody, like, boo. Like, give him a reason to hate it. Like, yeah. But that's just me. But I agree, it's weird. It's very weird. Or do a Danielson. Grow a full beard, man. Just like full beard.
And in general, Adam Page, I just feel like he's just there, like just overdoing his gimmick. I don't know. It's just like, kind of a bit of a waste of talent at this point.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, he has to do something now because otherwise he'll get lost in the shuffle. At least he got this heel thing going on. But yeah, so Samoa Joe retained the title, and let's see what's the over under.
All right, so the everyone, let's see, so Johnny and Jack and we all went for Samoa Joe, so we all get a point. Unfortunately, Mark and William, they both went for Swerve. And I like how nobody even considered Adam Page like at all.
No, we knew it was not going to be him.
Yeah,
one way or another, we knew like nah.
Yeah, and now we're up to our main event, right?
Yep, main event, Sting's last match. Also tag team titles on the line with Darby Allin and Sting going up against the Young Bucks.
But before you continue that, I just want to say one thing going back to Swerve for a moment.
Mhm.
So on this past Dynamite, Swerve, I mean, it's really feel like they're really trying to turn him babyface here because of the promo he was cutting and how he was talking about how maybe the reason he lost is because this is karma for all the bad stuff that he had done and all this other stuff. You know, he was saying stuff like that. So I think that's kind of interesting how, he was, saying all of that. And, he said he's going to go forward. He's for the fans and all this other stuff. So it was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So before the match even started, we had Ric Flair stepping in. Woo! But we've seen him so many times before. The bigger pop was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat up there.
Yes.
So that's fucking badass.
Yes. You remember my reaction to that one? I was squealing like a fangirl. I was like, oh.
You mean Ricky the Beltless Dragon? No. I'm sorry. I can't get over. You remember the last time we saw him his belt and his pants?
Anyways,
Get over that.
it's a crazy match. I don't remember I think there's a spot we all remember, but it was crazy stuff. Sting doing his thing, the dumb fucks doing their thing. There were tables and things involved, panes of glass involved. Fucking Darby Allin leaped off the top of a ladder and smashed himself through some glass to the point where some of it even sprayed the people in the front row and whatever. And he just basically busted himself open. A whole bunch of junk. In the end, Sting retained. Oh yeah, that was the other thing too. The big intro where Sting's sons came in, and one of them was dressed up like classic Surfer Sting. The other one was dressed up like NWO Wolfpack Sting.
Wolfpack.
And of course, Wolfpack Sting. And the other Sting, came in. Classic, real Sting came in. But yeah, a lot of stuff, lots of shenanigans. And in the end, Sting did win. He did retain against the Young Bucks. Yeah, lots of spots. And the thing that really got me, that kind of surprised me, was when they actually attacked Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna attack Sting, and Ric Flair, kind of shielded him, and they super kick Flair. And we're like, come on, Grandpa, let's stay out of the ring. I
like how it took about 20 minutes from the roll into the ring to get this thing. But yeah, that whole match was just was crazy, man. But like I said, it was the spots. It was just all the glass stuff. I mean, it was just so unnecessary. But the Darby Allin thing.
Oh, cry me a river.
Thank you for that one. Yeah, that was great. But that whole thing, I mean, you probably got like Jack Perry look and say, wait a minute. Hey man, why do I get suspended? Little whiny bitch. But anyway, as I was saying, the match itself was okay. I mean, I don't know. I just wish it was more of a Sting match. It felt more like a Darby Allin and Young Bucks match, as opposed to a full-on Sting match to me. I mean, am I the only one who feels that way? Yeah, because I can't think of anything.
Trust me, you're not the only one.
Okay,
you are not the only one. I'm going to save my rant for last, so everyone else go first.
Oh, here we go. We were waiting for this. No, because like I said, I'm just thinking like with Sting here, I mean, I can't think of anything Sting-like about this match, honestly. I didn't see him at TNA, and all that, but I don't know. It was just too much of the Bucks, too much Allen, not enough Sting. And the fact that the main thing that stick out about this match is Sting getting cut off at the end when when it went into overtime
His last words on TV were, "Oh wait, I'm getting cues. Hold on."
Seriously, I have never ever seen an overrun with a pay-per-view. Seriously, Tony.
And you know what? You want to know the worst part about that? If you know behind the scenes about wrestling, which I do,
And
he could have paid for extra time. He actually could have. Like, because in wrestling pay-per-views, they have what's called a 10-minute leeway period, which means you could tell the people who are running the pay-per-view feed, hey, I need to go 10 over. And then they basically say, okay. When they know they have to go 10 over, they just leave it, keep it running for another 10 minutes. And then what happens is they just charge them an extra fee. That means Khan didn't want to pay the extra fee to give Sting a farewell.
But he wouldn't do a stupid scrum. But anyway, all right. So that bugged me. I was like, wait a minute. And like I said, the Darby Allin spot. Those are the two main things from this match that people are going to remember. Darby Allin being a dumbass, jumping off, throwing himself off that ladder, realigning his spine once again. I just can't. And then the other thing that kind of got me was the fact that they let them win the titles, but then you find out behind the scenes that okay, Sting apparently really did want to work with the Bucks, but at the same time, he felt that he and Darby should lose. But Tony and the Bucks decided otherwise and felt that they should win, which is dumb because on Dynamite they had to vacate it. Now we're getting another stupid tournament for their belts. Make it make sense. Okay, I'm done.
Well, I'm pretty sure that due to recent events, the only reason that Tony Khan did this was to honor Dragon Ball and Akira Toriyama with making a tournament for those belts. It's the only reason.
Oh, he was predicting the future. Okay. William, Johnny. Uh-oh.
Tony Khan, you rat bastard. The farewell speech of a wrestler who is known by 3 generations of millions of people all around the world, and you fucked it up. You ought to have the mustache slapped off your face and your head hit so badly that your hair gets properly groomed. You freaking idiot. Now, with that being said, let's go with the match. Steamboat, yeah, that was awesome. But I gotta give credit to genetics because that was so strange. When I saw the first Sting come out, the Great American Bash Sting, I was like, okay, who ordered the DeLorean and went back to 1987 and pulled him out?
Yeah.
And then Wolfpack Sting comes out. And it's weird. These are his sons. And oddly enough, they are the same size and build from both those timelines playing as Sting. And when his son, the Wolfpack Sting, did the Stinger Splash, I was almost in tears because he had the same elevation, same jump, everything. His son even did like the same like no-cell like Hulk up as him. That was phenomenal. But,
not to mention the fact, real quick Easter egg, though that gear that they were wearing, that wasn't a copy. Those were his original gear.
oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they actually revealed the surfer gear that he was wearing was the same Bash at the Beach surfer Sting. The gear that he was wearing for the Wolfpack was the Halloween Havoc Wolfpack. Those were the same original Sting gear.
Oh wow.
So you weren't lying about the genetics because that means they are literally the same size as him.
Yeah. I mean, and they looked exactly the same. Like WCW might have had their Sting clones. He literally had his Sting clone. It's freaking awesome. Now, also with that being said, it's kind of sad that you saw so much of Sting through his sons at the beginning of the match, but you didn't see enough Sting in the ring during the match.
Mhm.
That was the part that killed me. It was like Darby was holding his own against the dumb fucks, which now everybody's catching on because there was no way they could edit out the fact that they were calling him the dumb fucks in the crowd. There was no way of editing that out. Now, yeah, I get it. Darby's a skater. He's taken a lot of bumps. I'm sure he can survive that one, no problem. But the glass really was not freaking necessary at all, especially with the risk, and especially after looking at what happened to Darby's back. I give him credit for doing it, but still, was it really worth it? No. And I think that it could have ended a lot better than it did, rather than just having Ric Flair, holding him and covering him off. Nah. You got Flair and you got Steamboat there. Have Steamboat kick the hell out of him. Have Ric Flair give him the good old nut shot. And then have Sting finish him off. I thought Sting was actually going to finish it off when he put him in the double Scorpion Deathlock. That would have even been a good send-off.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have had a better ending to that. And then the icing on the cake. And yes, Jack, you're right. I do know about that rule. They could have added 10 more minutes to give him his fucking farewell speech. The farewell speech that literally, if I'd have known what was going to happen in the next 48 hours between that and Toriyama dying, I would have literally said, well, goodbye to my childhood. You could have gave him that time and you fucking didn't do it. AEW, I might still watch the pay-per-views, but I'm going to say this now. Tony Khan, you are a piece of trash. End of story. Johnny, you're up.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so this match, it's a lot like what you guys have said. This actually felt more like a Darby versus the Young Bucks match. So I will give credit where credit is due. So it is very nice and awesome that they did like this whole homage with Sting. Like they show like when he was in the theater and they show all the old footage of Sting in the WCW days and whatnot. Like it shows, the different stages of Sting during that time era. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing. I love that segment of the very beginning of the match before the actual match started. And I like the fact that Sting's son were recreating Sting's original looks from back in the day. So that's pretty awesome. I like that. And then, having the Steamboat there, and hey, that's just like extra joy at this point, And Ric Flair is just Ric Flair at this point, It's like, I kind of worry about Ric Flair. Like, he should really just stop doing these cameo appearances because he always ends up getting really badly injured, and I'm gonna worry that one of these days he may not make
I want to say real quick though, Johnny, is one of the reasons he was there was because at that arena they were at, I forgot the name of it, apparently there was like a super big match back in the day, Sting versus Flair, so that's why.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They've been using Flair much that they haven't used him at all. This would have been a bigger shock as just like how Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was. But it got kind of ruined because he's been seen too much already.
That's get promoted with wings and energy.
Yeah. And he's been injured too much.
Flair and Sting 1988 at Starrcade. It was at the Greensboro Arena, which is where they were. And that was the match that's known. Even though he lost, it was for the WCW title. Even though he lost, it was known as the match that essentially made Sting because the match was originally scheduled to be only 30 minutes. And then they went, okay, well, we're not ending this match until we have a winner because they went to a time limit draw and they went for another 15 minutes. And it was like and this was Surfer Sting. It was like the height of it, like who's going to win? And then Flair won. But it was still, even though Flair won, it was the match that essentially put Sting into the stratosphere for people. And like that was the match that put Sting on the map. And that's kind of why it's considered that was the reference they were talking about with their history. And then him and Steamboat had a lot of history together too.
Oh, yeah.
Which I hate saying this. I don't like the guy, but I know if he were still alive, they would have replaced Steamboat with Jim Hellwig, aka Ultimate Warrior, if he was there. I could just see them do it. They had a long history together. Yeah, the Blade Runners. But I'm just saying that's more than likely what would happen. But that's just never here though.
And actually, I hate to cut you off there. Yeah, they did the last one in Greensboro. Honestly, I would have satellited that final match because you know where I would have put it, to be brutally honest with you? I would have literally put that match outside in Daytona Beach, Florida, where they did the final episode of WCW Nitro, where it was Sting, the Crow Sting versus Ric Flair. And I remember that because
that's true. That was the final WCW.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, Johnny. Go on with what you're saying.
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, it's pretty good to gather more information about the history behind Sting versus Steamboat versus Ric Flair. You get a better understanding why they're here in this match, like why it's so iconic that they're all, having these appearances in this match in particular. So personally, I totally dig the homage that they did with Sting. I dig all of that. That's pretty awesome. It's giving its due respect to Sting, at least at that time before the ending of the wrestling match. I'll get that when I get there. But in terms of the match itself, you can't hide the fact nobody likes the Young Bucks. People were booing them. Like you hear, every time you see Sting and Ric Flair and the Steamboat and even Darby Allin, everybody's cheering for them. Everybody's rooting for them. But once you see the Young Bucks and how stupid they fight and how stupid they look in their stupid suits that they wear nowadays, it's just like, this match is so stupid in that aspect, like it's just, I don't know, just having the Young Bucks as, like, these are the last opponents Sting's gonna fight in his retirement match. It's just stupid, okay? Like, they're like the worst opponents they could have dedicated this retirement match to. Like why the Young Bucks? But, yeah, the match was kind of And Darby Allin just, being stupid as usual, risking himself. Of course, Tony Khan doesn't care that the wrestlers get injured. Darby Allin doesn't care either that he gets injured that badly. So, he does stupid stunts like jumping on top of the ring and landing on on a glass table, and then his back is all bleeded up and there's glass stuck all over his back. Like, ugh. Yeah, that was actually a little hard to watch, even for, Darby Allin standards. Like, that's just, I don't know. I think in this case, he actually went too far, even for his own standards of how he always gets injured. And of course, the icing of the cake, the thing that I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened? I almost felt like, was the app acting up? Was it a glitch? Like, at first, okay, so when Sting was giving the final speech, and it was getting really good, I thought, oh my goodness, like Sting is, saying his final farewell, thank you for the fans and all that kind of stuff. They just cut in the middle of it. And at first I was thinking, okay, maybe it's the app acting up, maybe it's glitching up. No, what's the next thing you see? Thank you for watching AEW pay-per-view, whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's not a glitch. It's not a fucking glitch. They actually decided to cut that shit off in the middle of Sting's most important farewell speech, the most iconic wrestler of all time, and they cut that shit off.
Hey, Ninja. Real quick. Sorry, real quick, Johnny. Ninja. So I heard the dumbest take I've ever heard for why they cut Sting off. And this is actual, I'm not joking, this is actual take that's being fed through the narrative of the AEW marks.
To get up, I think
the that it was the reason they cut off Sting is because it was a tribute to the cliffhangers at the end of Nitro. I'm not joking. That's what it's being pushed as the narrative. Oh, it was intentional. It was a cliffhanger, you guys. Just like in Nitro. Yeah, big difference. Nitro's television. This is a pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is a pay-per-view. Not to mention the cliffhanger in Nitro, they actually finished the announcement. Shane McMahon came out and said, hey, I'm owner of the company. Let's do this. And then it went off. Not Shane McMahon pops out and goes, hey, I'm owner of the company.
Exactly.
That didn't fucking happen.
The only way it could have been worse is if Sting was like, I really gotta take a shit, and then fade to black. The only way.
Final word, everybody.
Way, just cut it. Just cut right there. Cut the video. It's like, I really gotta take a shit, and then like, what? That's his final words. Like that's how I felt about it. But I agree with you, Johnny. Yeah.
A lot of people thinking that it was farewell. A lot of people were blaming the Bleacher Report for doing that.
Yeah, so
I think that's people trying to save their butts, like AEW trying to save their butts, to not make them look as bad as they actually are.
And if you kind of look
the AEW,
if you kind of look at it, Darby was trying to warn him. Yeah, like Darby was running up to him and whispering, he's like, yo, dude, you got like 5 minutes left or whatever. Like he was trying to warn him, but still, they could have just been like, fuck it, give him 10 more minutes, let it ride.
Yeah, he's one of the iconic wrestlers ever. They could have given him that.
Not just that, but the whole pay-per-view was about Sting's final match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the draw.
And in fact, how about the build was because of Sting, because no one else would have came otherwise.
Here's a better idea. Okay, you remember the vignette that happened before the match, where Sting came out in the theater, and he's watching his old footage. Yeah. Okay. You show that part, just that part, at the beginning of the pay-per-view. Just up to his old past. You cut it. It goes to black. It goes to black, and then the pay-per-view starts. Then, right before the main event, like right after the last match, like it doesn't give it any time to set them up. Oh, and the next match is the final. None of that shit. Just immediately cut back to the theater of Sting, and you see the back of him, and you see him looking at his career, and then it goes, it's showtime. That would have cut like half of the segment out. That would have cut most of the time out. That would have cut a lot of chunk of it, but they had to do this whole thing. But I'm sorry to cut you off, Johnny. I was just saying.
No, but honestly, this also shows now that you guys are putting this on in perspective also, and everything is that, look, if they're going to be so time constrained, right? They knew there was time limit. Okay, so maybe there were some matches that didn't need to be that long, or just didn't need it to be there at all.
Meat match.
Yeah. Yeah, and that the number one contender match, could have been on Dynamite.
Yeah, and that could have solved the problem. But instead, they decided to put some of these stupid matches they had here. I don't know. The match that has John Moxley in it.
Cut that match.
FTR match.
I don't know, the Orange Cassidy match, like whatever. Like they could have.
There's so many things you could have done.
There were some matches that could have been shortened it up if they knew they were going to be on such a time crunch, so that then when that whole
cage match could have been.
No, that's one solution to do that. And another thing is that maybe Tony Khan should just stop being a damn cheapskate and pay the extra 10 or 20 minutes, for Sting to finish his farewell speech. Like, you guys made such a big deal about this match with the Young Bucks versus Darby added and seeing all this shit. It's been months that they've been promoting the pay-per-view, that this is the reason why to watch the pay-per-view is to watch, the Sting's retirement match. And that's how they ended.
Yes.
You just cut that shit off in the middle. Like, what the hell?
It
That's like the worst thing I've ever seen on a pay-per-view.
was I'll I sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I'll let
Oh
you-
no, I'm just in dismay, like how bad this ended. Like it's just like, what the hell, man? Like shit. Like, but I honestly thought in the beginning that it was just an app acting up. You know, sometimes Bleacher Report, sometimes
Yeah.
it just shuts off in the middle of it. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it was that, or maybe it was not the app itself, but maybe the broadcast itself. Maybe it, there was technical difficulties.
That's what I was thinking.
But then I would hope, okay, the stream will still blink back on, and Sting will still be able to continue doing his speech. But no, it wasn't that. I would have preferred a million times if it was a glitch on the app or if it was a technical difficulties. Not that AEW decided to cut it off. That's the thing that
Yeah.
frustrates me.
And now what was supposed to be like a ceremonious moment of a retirement of a worldwide known wrestler, I have to turn around and look at again at like 10 o'clock on YouTube just to figure out what the hell he said. Given
Oh, and then
YouTube, shout out to you guys, but still, it's not right. It was unfair and it was highly unjust.
And you know what?
They
I was
should get everybody their money back.
What they should have done after that whole fiasco is that since they're still going to broadcast the media scrum, I don't know if they did it, but they should have shown that footage in the media scrum. Like, okay, guys, we do sincerely apologize, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever, but to honor Sting, we're gonna re-show the whole footage of his speech.
Yeah, that's what pissed me off. When that thing,
They could have at least done that.
yeah, when that thing messed up, I'm like, oh well, whatever. I'll
was
be watching,
thinking
and they're all
could've-
like, the scrum's not starting yet, and I'm like, dude, just put it on fucking YouTube because the thing is still going, Sting is still talking. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I just refuse. I just refuse. I cut the whole thing off when to be. I was pissed.
And I didn't watch this media scrub, if I'm not mistaken. I think the very little footage I've seen, I just see that Tony Khan was just shaking his hand the whole time when he was grabbing a cup of coffee or whatever.
Yeah, they
They
didn't post the full speech until the following day, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I'm
But
like,
yeah.
well, there you go.
But yeah, the media scrub, I think I just saw Tony Khan grabbing his cup of coffee and his hand is just shaking the whole time. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not watching this whole shit. I didn't even,
But
I'm like, whatever.
Are we ready for
So-
the rants, everybody?
I was not prepared for the Johnny rant. I was not prepared for that one.
Oh, Johnny, that was a good. That
you
was
get a
awesome.
double. You get a double feature
It's
this
funny,
time.
I went to work today, and I even told some people, like, they're not really like super big in wrestling, but people know who Sting was. So I told him
Yeah.
that he's the most legendary wrestler in a retirement match. He's giving out his farewell speech, a very good speech, by the way, and it got cut in the middle.
Yep.
And they didn't apologize for it. They didn't like, I don't know, like maybe in the repeat you can still see the footage. Like, I don't know, something. No, they just flat out cut it out.
It would be like, you know what it would be like? It would be like at the end of the Oscars, because the Oscars are going on right now. I haven't watched it yet. It'd be like the best picture winner getting announced. They come to the thing. They have the trophy. You hand them the trophy. They go, I'd like to thank, and then cut to black. But what the fuck? Like, that's kind of what it felt like.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so finally it's my turn.
Here we
Okay,
go.
So first of all, I thought about what everyone has been saying online. And the position between the IWC is either that or internet wrestling community, for those who don't know. The IWC is basically between the points of, this is the greatest wrestling retirement match of all time, oh my God, or what the fuck were they thinking? I'm in that camp as well, because the thing of it is, I'm in the same boat with kind of Steven Larson, or I hate agreeing with him, but Brian Alvarez, in the point of not Brian Alvarez, Mark Henry, and Bubba Ray. Bubba Ray said, Bubba Ray Dudley or Bully Ray said that you look at the match and you think, who the hell benefited from this match? Because it wasn't Sting. He was barely in the match. It was a Darby match. It was a Young Bucks match. It wasn't a Sting match. You built this entire pay-per-view around this being Sting's final match. You even have his sons dress like him. You even got the original, this is the point no one's talking about, they paid Metallica to have Sting's original Surfer Sting theme song, Seek and Destroy. That means he paid millions of dollars to take Seek and Destroy by Metallica just to have him go to the ring and end it.
Oh, so that's why they couldn't afford to have the extra minute for the pay-per-view.
Or something like that. But the point of it is, it cut that all out of the way. There's a reason there's a niche market for deathmatch garbage wrestling, because they overkill. They do the same kinds of spots multiple times. It takes away its power. You don't do multiple glass spots in the same match. They had three glass spots in this entire match. They had the first one where Sting had the bat and he whacked the glass and he missed, and then he did it again, but it's the same spot. Then we had the fall. It wasn't a dive. It was a fall heard round the world with Darby's dumbass deciding, I'm going to get a sheet of glass and try to jump onto it. Now, here's why that's stupid. It's not because it's because of the fact that if people don't understand how sharp glass is, like actual pane glass is it is so dangerous to use that people have to wear gloves to handle it. If Darby had fallen slightly less, and I'm not joking about this, he would have literally decapitated himself. If he had gotten slightly further, he also would have decapitated himself. If he had gone slightly to the left or slightly to the right, the glass would have shattered, gone upward into his spine. That's the level of stupid danger that was. And in the end, him doing that spot, when everything is said and done, that is going to be the lasting memory of this match. It's not going to be Sting. It's not going to be Sting's farewell. It's not going to be the Ric Flair spot, the Ricky Steamboat spot, the Young Buck spot, the ladder spot, the table spot. It's that one spot. So Darby decided to do this stupid spot. Probably one of the dumbest spots I've ever seen in wrestling. This made the deathmatch explosion look like fucking Citizen Kane by comparison. The level of stupidity this was. Because here's the other thing. Later in the match, they actually had a really good glass spot. They had people forget about that part. The part where the Bucks threw Sting in the glass, that's how you do it. That's the perfect way to do it. You throw them into it. But if you notice, rewatch that part, when Sting fell, he fell towards the ring wearing clothing, and he probably wore padding, let's be honest.
Yeah,
He cannonballed into it. He cannonballed into it. And the only part that was dangerous about was, one, the crowd. That's a factor no one's talked about, which I did find out by doing my own little research, that apparently the people that paid for front row tickets around the ring, they found out when they got to the arena, they had to sign a waiver to sit there, taking away liability from AEW if they result in injury. And if they refuse to sign it, they couldn't enter the building. And AEW is famous for not having a refund policy. That means sign the paper, take away the liability, or go fuck yourself. So
yeah, the different camera angles did show how during the Darby Allin spot like that glass still hit the front row.
The glass still hit the front row. The Sting spot hit the front row. The Sting hitting the glass with a bat hit the front row. 3 separate times people got hit with glass. And I don't know the severity of the injuries that people sustained, but I know someone got injured. They probably got injured because it's glass.
And then I don't mean to cut you off there, but call me crazy, but it seemed like there was a loophole in the end of Sting's story here, like something that just wasn't closed. Now, if I remember, the first time when he saw Darby Allin, he kind of looked at him like, oh, this is me. This could be my possible replacement. And it seemed like that was why he was tag teaming with him. He was showing this Wilder kid the ropes to make him more attainable. So at the very end, i.e. his retirement match, he would hand him the bat. Where did any of that shit go? That just went clean the fuck out of the window.
Right. Because as I said, you weren't here for the predictions video, but as I said in the predictions video, this should have never been a tag team match.
No, it should have been a Darby versus Sting match.
Yes, it should have been a Darby versus Sting match. And if you're going to go full crazy, which they clearly wanted to, you need to use Sting's past to help benefit him in the best possible ways. So here's a good example. You know what would have been a really fucking crazy spot no one would have seen coming? What if after the glass spot, Ric Flair, they do the super kick, all that shit. Ricky Steamboat comes in. They do the super kick. Darby's still out. The lights go dark. And Great Muta shows up.
Muta comes back. Yes.
Muta comes back and miss the fuck out of the Bucks. Then he goes out into the ring, and he goes into the ring, and he comes back out, and he's got a bag, and he pulls out a barbed wire baseball bat and hands it to Sting. That, and then he helps Sting up. There. See, you want to be stupid? That's a level of stupid. Okay. Now, focusing on fuckboy Allen here, let's go on to him. I've said this repeatedly, and people give me a lot of shit for it, but it's true. Darby Allin, as a wrestler, is a stuntman. He's not a wrestler. He's a spot man. He wants to wrestle for spots and spot. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. Cool. You do you. Here's the problem.
The whole match can't be spots.
Exactly. How do you have a wrestling master like Sting work with a guy? How do you have a match where you need to have sustainability? And that's why I thought, same thing with Will. I thought that originally when they paired Sting up with Darby, it was going to be Sting teaching Darby to wrestle. Actually wrestle. Because I thought, because if you notice, have you noticed Darby never does the Last Supper anymore? That was a cool move. It's a twisted leg pin that turns, it's a figure 4 into a pin. That's fucking cool. Or how about, I don't know, why doesn't Sting teach him the Scorpion Deathlock? moves that he actually can do or things like that. But no, they never did anything with that. But here's the problem I have with Darby as a person. I'm not talking about the wrestler. Darby as a person, as a human being, is a fucking asshole. And I know that because I met the guy. He's a fucking asshole. Not only is he a fucking asshole, he's an ungrateful asshole because 2 days after the interview, 2 days after the Sting match, I sent you guys a clip of a podcast. He did a podcast where they asked him a simple question. Was there anything you wanted to do in that match that you kind of regret not being able to do? Simple question. Could have said, no, I think we did a good job, or no, I would have liked this. No, work off of it. What does he do? He takes that opportunity to then shit on one of the greatest wrestlers of all time for no reason. A person he's never talked to, a person he's never had any beef with. He shit on Kurt fucking Angle. He literally said, well, I think we had the greatest retirement match of all time. In fact, you look at a guy like Kurt Angle. What happened with him? He had a random generic match in WrestleMania and had some ass, and he tucked his tail between his legs like a little bitch and fucked off in the sunset. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I fear you're going to bring that one up.
I'm like, I'm sorry. Who the fuck are you talking about? Kurt Angle? One of the greatest wrestlers of all time? The guy who's broken his neck 2 times? A guy whose limbs are so damaged he can't even pick up his own kids? That guy? That guy.
The guy who
okay.
won a medal with the broken freaking neck?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. But, okay, Mr. Stuntman, let's play that game. You couldn't lace Kurt's boots in any capacity. Hell, you couldn't. I'm going to say this right now, and this is going to be 100% true. New Jack was a better wrestler than Darby ever has been. Shark, you want me to go even deeper? You know who's a better wrestler? Shark Boy from TNA is a better wrestler than Darby Allin.
Ooh,
that's a fact. Because Darby couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag. Just because you put him in a match with other good wrestlers doesn't mean you're a good wrestler. You don't believe me? Ask that one-legged guy who fought Brock Lesnar. Made him look like $1 million. Was he a good wrestler? Hell no. Darby's the one-legged kid. That's Darby in a nutshell. And the fact of the matter is he's an ungrateful dick who decided instead of helping pass the torch, instead of showing this legend the respect he deserves by letting this match be about him, I need to make it about me. And then what does he do after that? He then comes out on, was it Dynamite or Collision, and says, hey guys, I'm going to climb Mount Everest and I might die. Why? That's the real question. That's the real question no one asks about Darby Allin. You look at Darby Allin's all of his stupid stunts. He literally went to one of those, what was it, like a monster truck thing? Or one of those
He was in one of the cars, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in one of the cars that was on fire and he just jumped out of it. He's like, woo! And it's like, why? He did a spot where he literally jumped out of a hot air balloon. And why? My thing of it is he does. I really think he does want to kill himself. I really do. And the fact of the matter is, Khan indulges his stupidity. Because doing that shit when you're in your early 20s, that's fine. When you start becoming in your 30s, it's sad. It's really fucking sad. And I'm a guy who wears a leather jacket and sunglasses on the internet and reviews shit. And I think it's depressing.
Wait. And you're after a certain hedgehog.
Yeah. Anyway. But my whole point of it is, the reason I can criticize his wrestling style is because I've known people that are actual wrestlers who bust their ass and have broken their limbs and have done shit for this industry. And this piece of crap to run down other wrestlers, like, who the hell? First of all, you're not even a wrestler. You're a stunt man who just face paints himself, and just because you hang out with Sting, you'll never be Sting. I don't care. Sting could literally have his name in his will. He still will never be Sting.
Well, first,
And that's the truth.
to learn his move.
Ouch, that cut deep. That cut deep. Ah, God, that cut deep. Ah, ah.
And here's the other
Moxley,
thing.
what are you doing? Ah.
Now, one thing I will say, and this is a tangent I'm going to go off of a little bit. I wanted to ask you guys this simple question, and I really, really, really mean this sincerely. Who is the top good guy in AEW?
Cassidy, I guess.
Well, I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, but he doesn't really represent the company the way a Hogan or Cena would.
I guess Kenny before he got sick. I don't know.
That's my point. They don't have one. The reason Sting got over, the reason Sting worked, you look at him as a perfect example. You had the NWO. You had a company full of nothing but villains. You had the Horsemen. You have NWO. You got these guys. You got this guy. You got this guy. You had nothing, but you needed a fucking lightning rod hero. There's no hero. It's just lightning. There's no thing to cling to. Who is the guy? I mean, they wanted to make MJF the top hero, and that was like, okay, but it didn't work because it was like phony as hell. This is why I'm saying you need to turn Swerve. If you turn Swerve, dude, Swerve could be the top hero. He really could. Swerve could be the top hero of the company. Swerve could be the top hero of the company. Fucking Hook could be the top hero of the company. But the thing of it is Khan doesn't want to book heroes. He only knows how to book villains. That's why you have 90% of your roster are heels. And it doesn't make any sense because it's like, how can... It's like, I have a story. It's about a guy. I have a story. It's about these villains and 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 these. Okay.
You know,
when do we get to the hero?
The actual hero now, but what have been Willow? Willow's probably the only hero they got.
And they don't use them. So anyway.
But my point I'm making is, if he can't even book a simple hero versus villain storyline, dude, this final match is the perfect culmination of how stupid Tony Khan is. He can't show the proper respect to a legend. He couldn't even be bothered to give him extra TV time. He's instead more focused on TV spots, highlight reels, and eventually getting commercial deals. You know for a fact you could see Tony Khan telling Darby, I want you to dive so that way it'll look good on replays. And Darby's like, okay.
Hey, you know what?
I pointed this one last
insult to injury to what you just said about the hero thing to show you how much of a hero Sting was as far as the character. If you really think about it, in WCW, for close to a year, he was a hero to where when he showed up, everybody went nuts. Now, within that year, when he was fighting against the NWO, how many promos? How many words did he even speak? Not a single word. He didn't even have to say.
He just hung out in the rafters.
He
was just in the rafters, like looking at him. And that was why it made it so good. He didn't have to say it. He said more with nothing than he could ever say with words. And the thing of it is, that's how talented the guy was. It just drew you in. And that's basic storytelling 101. You could say with a whisper, it's the same. It's a lot of wrestlers talk about Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake is in your fucking company. Ask him. He even said, whenever I would do promos, I would never yell because I made the audience listen to me. I could say more with a whisper than anyone could say with a yell. And that's
I've heard
what
that
you
before.
need to be able to do. And that's what you need to be able to do. But Khan can't do that. And here's another proof. Khan is not only out of, he has no control over his own company. He has no accountability. He'll never take accountability. I mean, look at Darby, just Darby by himself. Darby decided on his own to get a face tattoo across his head of a stupid freaking skeleton pointing a finger. It's under his face paint, but it's there. That means by him getting that tattoo, years down the road, if Darby is still alive, if they decide to do a deal with an international brand,
He's screwed.
Darby can never be on the poster because there are a lot of countries that ban celebrities with facial tattoos. There is a lot of countries that do. A lot of people don't know that. That's why you
And
don't see
probably-
certain people. Yeah, that's why you don't see Post Malone in certain venues at certain arenas around the world because his face tattoos. That's what. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm being honest here. But this is the thing. When Khan found out about it, you know what his reaction was? Oh, okay. Like Mark Calloway, aka Undertaker, recently did a podcast and he talked about when he got the sleeve tattoos and he came back when Vince found out about the sleeve tattoos, he screamed at him for an hour and a half and said he ruined his character's gimmick. That's why he did the ministry shit with long sleeves. Because Vince didn't think it would work with the character. But I'm saying my point is it's how you respond. It's how you react. It's how you do it. But if you don't have the proper respect for the venue, you don't have the proper respect for the wrestlers. And based off of his interviews, based off of meeting him in person, Darby doesn't have any respect for the industry. He never does. He never has. It's a paycheck because he's a failed skateboarder and he's a failure of a wrestler. And he can go fuck himself because he ruined the final match of Sting. In my opinion, the match was so spot heavy that it took away. Sting was, think about this. Sting was barely in Sting's final match.
Mm.
Really think about that.
Can't lie about that one. Can't deny it. And that's what I said. It just felt like a Darby Allin versus the Bucks match. I mean, that's it. And nothing about the match felt like Sting.
Yeah. Here's a, you know what you should have done? You should have had the month prior. Don't give Sting and Darby the title match. But what you could do, if you still want to do a title match, still want to do a tag match, perfect example, and you would agree with me on this. You guys all would agree with me on this. Have Sting and Darby versus FTR because they're a throwback to his old school style.
But I was saying that myself. I was saying that in the predictions.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right. And you could have Sting and you have Darby with kind of like a variation of his paint to look like Surfer Sting. Not quite Surfer Sting, but look like Surfer Sting. And then you could have FTR. Now here would be a crazy throwback. Have FTR have their gear be a tribute to the Steiner brothers. Because when they were the Dingo War, when they were the Blade Runners, their biggest rivals were the Steiners. So it'd be like, oh shit, that'd be kind of cool. Like do something like that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, have their slings in like the color of the Michigan.
Oh,
gear.
you know what? That's something I forgot to mention. That we had Claudio and Moxley dressed as Legion of Doom Road Warriors, but I don't know why or how come or what made sense of that.
Yeah, what was the fucking point?
That's
I don't
right.
know.
That's right. That was the other thing I was complaining about. Saying, how dare they tarnish their legacy?
Yeah,
That's
because I'm like, I mean, I know they fought them a couple times back in the day, but it's also like, who cares? But my point of it is, and this is where I'm getting to my final point. Between everything I've said to you guys, and I keep saying this stuff, not because I think AEW is a terrible company. I think the problem is It's terribly run. It's terribly managed. It's not going to stay afloat. And I don't say that because I want it to go under, and I don't want these people to be unemployed. I don't. I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to do the stuff that made them unique. Stop trying to, they are now replicating all of the shit they criticized. For years, from their entire infancy, what have they been doing? Running WWE, and now they're doing it. They're doing it. Exactly what they're doing. But they're copying the worst parts of WWE. Let's have nothing but bad guys, no good guys. Let's have stupid gimmicky shit. Let's have over-sexualized characters. Let's have big boobied women get over and flat-chested women fail. Sounds so familiar, but
well, at least I didn't get to the Bronx.
But Jack, how is that possible? In every media scrum, Tony Khan keeps saying it's the best show ever. It was the best show ever. It was the best
great.
show ever.
It was great.
Yeah, he also, with a straight face, said that it's the safest wrestling company in the world. I'm not kidding. He actually said that with a straight face. We have the safest wrestling company in the world.
Yeah, it's like 90% of rosters.
What?
Well, yeah.
You've been around for 4 years, and you've had more backstage fights than the entirety of WCW and ECW combined. That's truly safety in numbers. Rant over. You can all go home now. All right.
All right.
And
so
you want to know the best.
so bad.
I was about to say your thing, but yeah, then I get the reference. Oh man.
I got cues. I'm sorry. I got cues. It has to go. I'm sorry. You have to pay extra to get the premium channel to see it. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, for this match, let me see. Everyone gets a point except for me and Jack, because we figured the Bucks would have defeated Sting and Darby, because like I said, it just was dumb for them to win the titles because then they'd have to vacate them, which is exactly what happened. All right, so the winner of this would be, let's see, it looks like it's going to be our pal. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the winner would be Johnny with 9.
Oh.
Wow. Way to go.
Johnny wins this time. After that, it looks like it's Panda. After Panda, it is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, Pandy had 8. Next will be me and Jack with 7, and then Mark unfortunately comes in last with 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, you got 7 too. So all 3 of us were tied, but Johnny
Three-way tie.
Followed by William.
There we go.
So that means since Johnny is the winner, he has to do Darby's spot.
No. Johnny's the winner. He gets a free complimentary bucket of woo wings.
With a
wash it down with the
woo energy.
Yep, there we go. Oh man.
Hold on, I'll go get the glass.
Oh god. So anyways, guys, this wraps it up for the Diamond Cutter Wrestling Podcast. We'll see what else is coming up. And this is Mark Rodriguez signing off here.
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
William White, a.k.a. Ninja Panda 1980. Tony Khan, watch your back. Your days are numbered, sir.
This is Wendy, also known as Ninja Jupi or Jupi-chan. And, yeah, Darby, if you have a death wish, if you have depression issues, please call your local mental health facility to get that help that you need. Because all of a sudden, something ain't right up in your head. And now, what turn this over to the one, the only, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that had gave us the rant today that we were not expecting, along with Jack with our double feature, Johnny.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
man. So, guys, I do want to wrap it up here. And
Wait,
I do want
one-
to say that, yeah.
One last thing we should all say, thank you, Sting.
Yeah. Thank you, Sting.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you, Sting. Sorry we couldn't hear you.
yeah. So one thing I do want to say, though, with this episode here in particular, with the background surroundings, I do want to say that this will be officially the last... oh, wait, hold on. We're getting cues.